What's good, YouTube? It's your boy DJ Manny Man back again. Another video, man. We're getting closer to this EA Sports College Football 25, man. I can't wait. I already got the hard copy for the record locked in. We gonna pick that up. They'll release. You already know what time it is, man. Monumental. I cannot get that on the download. Nah, not for this one. And maybe not for the rest of the time that I play video games, but had to go get that one in person, man. But yeah, man, today, a couple of things. One, a young legend was born. So don't be a hoe. Spam up happy birthday in the comments. You know what time it is. Also, hit that subscribe button while you at it, man. Like, what are we talking about? Hit that like button, man. Stop being a hater. All right? Come on. Birthday gift. Just get me to 125 subscribers. I don't think that's too much to ask, right? But anywho, I appreciate y'all nonetheless. But let's talk about it, man. Freshly released, the quote unquote top 10 toughest places to play according to EA Sports College Football 25. Now, obviously, these will fluctuate throughout the season as things change, records change, things of that nature. But in the current stance that we are in, right, we have an opportunity to see firsthand who EA Sports College Football in their initial ratings see as the toughest places to play. All right, so we're going to go through this. I'm going to give y'all my reaction, and we'll talk about it. At number 10, Ben Hill Stadium, University of Florida. Now, I personally have been to Ben Hill Stadium one time. I did not go in the stadium. I just went through the town that is, or the little area surrounding the stadium. And that was years ago. Like, when I was a youth then. It's cool. I was there during a game day. It was an off season. It was just something. It was about this time of the year when I went. And I did have plans on going to the game on August 31st, but due to some situations coming up, let's just say my surroundings won't be my surroundings that you see here for very much longer. So I won't be attending that game. But August 31st, man, belt to ass. And I said in the comments, I stood on all 10. That's the day we get an opportunity to kind of detract from them being top 10. The Swamp, I know it's heralded. It has a lot of history. But teams have gone in there and handled their business. So I anticipate my Kings to go in there and do the same thing. Also, before I continue, man, shout out to them Panthers, man. World champions, Stanley Cup winners. Got it done, man. I said on my last video, I said get it done, and that's exactly what they did. They had me nervous for a sec. Let's not get that confused. Going up 3-0 and then losing 3 straight is not the way to do it. But if you had to do it, hey, Miami has shown 3-0 now in Game 7s, especially when they're at home. So, shout out to them, man. Shout out to the Heat. Shout out to Inter Miami. Shout out to all these teams, man, that I rock with. You already know what time it is. Of course, shout out to that you. But without further ado, number 9. I don't know if this is a trend or not, but Doak Campbell Stadium, home of the Leon County Seminoles. I use Leon County with the utmost disrespect. Sorry, it is what it is. Interesting. Considering, and I'm only speaking from the perspective of a Miami Hurricane fan, right? we see a true freshman go in there, not get rattled, possibly beat them, and that arguably might be one of the greatest teams they've ever fielded at home last year. Not hating. It's not even hate. I'm literally stating facts. Nothing that I said was not factual or an opinion. Everything I said was factual. You can argue that was quite possibly their greatest team. I don't remember the record of the Jameis Winston team, but I'm not old enough to really remember the Charlie Ward team. So, I wasn't as interested. I've never been interested in Florida State, but and he had that crowd quite quiet sometimes. Not to mention that 2017 Hurricanes team. But once again, these are set to fluctuate and they're going to change. This is all for the sake of right now when you're playing against particular teams. There is an aspect for the environment that's going to positively affect the home team and obviously negatively affect the away team. So as of right now, Leon County Seminoles at number 9. Let's keep it moving. At number 8, I got to know Diddy even saying this, but Gaylord Family, Oklahoma Memorial Stadium, home of obviously the Oklahoma Sooners. They recently felt it necessary to give Brent Venables a contract extension. Do with that what you will. Nothing to do with me, but they kind of feel like he's the right guy taking us in that direction. So, shout out to Brent Venables, I guess. Shout out to the Sooners, I guess. I will say, well, that was a neutral site. I was gonna say last year's Red River Rivalry, but that's usually a neutral site. I don't think I really caught any other Oklahoma games, but I do know from the Adrian Peterson era how popular that place can be, how raucous it can get when given the right atmosphere and the right team. I'm interested to see how it's going to look now, especially with the SEC coming to town or them going into the SEC's town. I expected nothing less. Number 7 is actually surprising. It's Wisconsin. Now, maybe I just don't watch enough college football, but I could tell you from a particular former quarterback, if that is the 7th hardest place to play in college football, based on the guy who us Miami fans are projecting to start, they are going to be off this list by the end of this season. Maybe even by midseason. Do with that what you will. I know Wisconsin gets a really good rep, I think, for a long time, and they might still have it going. They had like a record for sold out games consecutively. But like I kind of alluded to in my last video, the same way this is Miami, it's Wisconsin. So I mean, there's only so much stuff you can do in Wisconsin, and those things include go to a Bucks game, go to a Wisconsin game, and go to Culver's, and maybe cow tipping. So naturally, they're going to have that support in the state, being the state school. Do with that what you will. But hey, shout out to Camp Randall Stadium. Number 6, Beaver Stadium at Penn State. Now I got a part of me got a soft spot in my heart for this school. Got a lot of family from up that way. Know who actually technically attended. Shout out to my nephew. He goes to how would you call it? He's on a baseball scholarship at their Brandywine campus. So I won't go as hard as I probably have on the last 4 schools, but I will say this. and I know this from talking to some of my family members, that whiteout crowd at night is as advertised. If anything, I would probably say they may be too low on this list. Actually, no. Actually, that's the perfect spot, considering the rest of the people we got. Nonetheless, though, yeah, Beaver Stadium, whiteout, big game, fantastic. All they gotta do is figure out how to make it work when the maize and blue and the scarlet and gray show up, and you be great. Hey, that's the only obstacle Mr. Franklin has dealt with since he's been there, is how do we get past them? And now it's going to be a little bit further magnified because now you got the likes of USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington coming into town. So good luck. Number 5, and this is surprising, but I understand it for the sake of Georgia has only just gotten the national prominence again. I'm sure their crowds have always been good. But when there is a 40-year break between national championships for your school, we have to take in consideration that you weren't there all these years, right? That Whiteout Stadium has been happening since Joe Pa was alive and after he passed away. And whatever nefarious things were going on at university. That's another conversation for another day. However, for Sanford Stadium in Georgia, their fans are die hard, win, lose, or draw. Let's get that clear. But they only recently returned to national prominence from a championship standpoint. Therefore, I would be remiss if I didn't say that 5 is a very valid spot for them to be in. Specifically when you look at the other 4 schools above them. With that being said, number 4, Ohio State. Ohio Stadium at Ohio State. Now, call it what you want. Some people may look at it as a luxury. Some people might look at it as a disadvantage or a disappointment. I'm not going to say either way. But I had the capacity this past May to actually attend Ohio State for my nephew who is finishing medical school up there. Shout out to him. And I saw their stadium. Ohio as a state is interesting. At least Columbus, because that's where we're at. I haven't been in other parts of Ohio. Columbus is interesting. I would assume that on game days that place is jam-packed because the highway surrounds it. Their campus, for all their amenities, is essentially massive, so it gets very interesting there. I did not actually go in the stadium, but I saw it. It's a solid-looking stadium. I can't really say what the atmosphere looks like, but obviously they have a very diehard fan base who has been riding with them. I don't think they've won a championship since the college football playoffs initial inception, which was 2013. So, yeah, 11 years. But they continue to stack classes and continue to have been through a few coaches and continue to have seemingly the number 1 or top 5 recruiting class year in and year out. So I guess the question is, when is it going to translate? They had Michigan where they wanted them for 6 seasons until Harbaugh woke up, took the Mario Cristobal approach. When Mario Cristobal went into Columbus with Oregon some 3 years ago and did what he wanted. And I talked about this on other platforms. You know what time it is. I will stand on the idea and the concept. Feel free to disagree. It is what it is. Mario Cristobal essentially gave the game plan, in my opinion, to Jim Harbaugh, because once Mario went in there and just ran the ball down Ohio State's throat, and there was nothing they could do about it, For the next 3 seasons after that, Jim Harbaugh did the same exact thing, and he won 4 times, to include the conference championship that eventually parlayed itself into a national championship. For 6 years before that, when Harbaugh was there, he never did that, and they never won. Mario goes in there at 21, runs the ball on their throat. They let it play them. I see Jim Harbaugh do the same exact thing for the next 3 years, and Ohio State can't figure it out. Go watch the tapes. I'm just saying. So if that is number 4, because I'm sure those games went back and forth, because that's not a neutral site game. They go back and forth between home stadiums. Technically, I'm okay with that, but when it seems like Michigan comes to town, or Mario Cristobal, weird, all of a sudden, stadium's not so tough. Don't kill the messenger. I don't make the rules. I'm just living by them like you. Number 3, Tiger Stadium. Now, one of my really good friends, probably one of my best friends, LSU fan, diehard, and he's told me firsthand, LSU Stadium, Tiger Stadium, at night in LSU is a sight to be seen. I've watched it on TV, obviously not in person. It be the bane of existence for very good college coaches. Going back to that same 21 season when Joe Burrow was doing his thing. I think it's 21 or was that 19? 21, 20, something like that. Correct me in the comments. I think it was a 2019 LSU team. Those guys were able to even further elevate that with a guy who was an Ohio State transfer in Joe Burrow, right? Ohio native. So I don't know what he wasn't ready. What he couldn't tap into, but once again, I'm not against Tiger Stadium being number 3. I would argue that if they were more consistent, you might have the argument about number 2. Them moving up to number 2. However, number 2, Bryant-Denny Stadium, home of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, the Alabama Crimson Tide, I think, is here by default, particularly because Nick Saban has been a staple there for so long. They have built dynasty. It's a dynasty. So I think they're there by default. Kalen DeBoer, while I still think he has a lot that he has to get through, I would be remiss if I said that he has big shoes to fill. Not saying it's impossible, but he has big shoes to fill. Looking forward to it. Not mad at them being number 2 for right now. Until someone else gives them a reason why. Now, number 1 took a lot of people by surprise, but considering the University of Miami has played them recently within the last 3 seasons, and I have firsthand accounts from other people that I work with on other platforms, I'm not mad at the idea of Kyle Field, home of the Texas A&M Aggies, currently being the number 1 toughest places to play. Between those top 5, you can move them around however you want, if we're being honest. However, I heard Texas A&M, Kyle Field is a place to behold. Now, if that's the case, all those male cheerleaders need raised, because from my understanding, they are one of the few schools, if not the only school, that does not actually have female cheerleaders. It is only male cheerleaders and they call them like cheer captains or cheer coaches, something like that. If that's the case, that makes if their efforts is making that the number one place in college football, that's the toughest place to play. The rest of college football is doing this all wrong. For the record, I'm not endorsing male, female. I'm not endorsing none of that. I'm simply saying, if that is the number one toughest place to play as of right now, and as of how EA Sports College Football will put a game out when it releases July 19th, the rest of college football is doing something wrong. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, shout out to them. Like I said, that wasn't even necessarily a great Texas A&M team we played there, but I would argue when they came to Miami last season and we got good Tyler Van Dyke, a fantastic Brashard Smith, and an incredible Jacoby George, their fans that were impressed probably had something to say. Now, granted, we don't pack 104,000 people in Kyle Field. I don't know what's around Texas A&M. What is that, Corpus Christi, Texas? Don't quote me. I don't know what's around there. It's Texas. And I'm not going to knock Texas because Texas does have a lot of things to do, depending on where you're at. It's a massive state. But, once again, it would seem as if when Saturday afternoon, morning, evening comes around, you don't put 104,000 people in a place that has ample amounts of things to do. I'm just saying. You know what's also surprising, now that there's thought about it? That Texas itself is not on this list. Texas has been, I can't remember Texas now, mind you, I'm not a Texas fan. I don't watch Texas football closely. I can't remember a time when that stadium wasn't packed. Now, if it was, cool, I get it. But once again, this is all subjective, right? This is going to move and fluctuate with tunings the same way Madden guys with their ratings going from week to week and change guys who are overperforming, underperforming, or just staying neutral. It's going to change. So, mind you, take this with a grain of salt. This is not even week 1, week 0. This is week negative something. We got like, 6 college football weekends left? Or 9 college football weekends left before we get to actual. We're almost done with June. Obviously, like I said, it's your boy's birthday. I had the luxury of being exactly 6 months from Christmas. So, basically every 6 months I know I'm getting something. So yeah, man. Shout out to everybody who watching, man. Tell me what your thoughts is, man. Do you agree with the list? Do you not? Do you think it should be changed? Think it should be fixed? I can honestly say, specifically for my last video, Miami should not be on there. Miami will be on there. And people know. Let me look at the camera. I said 2017. You remember. Act stupid if you want. It wasn't that long ago. It was 7 years ago. You remember. Number 2 in the playoff ranking. Doing a lot of things. Upset of Notre Dame. Everybody had us guaranteed losing. Upstate Virginia Tech that next week. Upstate. You remember. Turnover chain going crazy. You remember. The miracle game against Florida State. That was in Gainesville or wherever Leon. That was in Leon County. You remember. Let us get back to that and see what happens. You know what's going to happen. But I digress. Miami starts winning. It will look like that go back and watch the game if you think I'm lying. Notre Dame fans, fingers plugging their ears. And the stadium design is built that when you get trapped up in there, or you in there with that. When they start going crazy and get raucous, you in there. Even on mild crowds, you in there. I've seen it firsthand multiple times. Don't let us get back there. But once again, I appreciate y'all, man. Feel free to drop a happy birthday in the comments for your boy. Be sure to hit that like, subscribe. Shout out to all the recruits we getting too, man. I'm just on a little tear right now. But if you appreciate this content, man, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, keep getting it pushed out to you. I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna try to come back tomorrow. I think we got another drop tomorrow for a sights and sounds deep dive. So it's probably gonna be a video, man. But hey, getting close to college football, man. Can't wait. We in here. If you ever wonder, man, if we out here worried about what stadium we at, and if we, man, just to understand, we